Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I'll be your presenter here for the next 20 minutes. Today we're going to be talking about step one of membership reporting. So basically how to go in, how to input the criteria to get the information that you're looking for specific people, and then also how to use the accounts tab and the sorts tab. So a couple different things we're going to be going over today in regards to building different reports. Now keep in mind we are doing a kind of a three-part series, if you will. So today is going to be part one. Tomorrow we're going to do a part two and then a part three on Thursday. So these are all kind of building onto each other, and I'm going to upload them on the website in the same order as well. So keep in mind that it's going to be really beneficial to come and listen to all three. So today, again, step one, we're going to talk about putting in the criteria for who you want to see on the report itself. And then part two and part three, we're going to talk about the different layouts that you have available on the step two screen in reports. The information today is pulled from one of our workbooks. It's from our Membership 204 workbook. So we're going to be talking through, with this three-part series, pages 2 through 30. Now today is just 2 through 10. But come back later in the week if you want to get more information on how to build different reports and get the layouts that you're really looking for as well. All right, Josh is in here with me today. We had a bunch of people register for today's webinar, which is great. So if you have a question, please feel free to type that into the question section in your GoToWebinar toolbar. Josh will do his best to give you an answer. Feel free to wait till the end. We're going to do a little Q&A then. I'll read some questions aloud and answer them if I feel that might be helpful for other people that are here. Please try to keep your questions topical. Again, there's a bunch of you. There's just two of us. If you have specific questions about layouts, again, that's later in the week, so that's not going to be a great place to ask those questions today. If you have certain questions about criteria, maybe something that you've been trying to build a report for that you've had trouble with, feel free to type that in. I'll do my best to get you an answer, but any really specific questions to your data or really specific reports that you need to build, if you don't get the answers from that in today's webinar, please just call us on our support line. We're happy to talk you through it, or you can email us to support@churchwindows.com and we can get you an answer that way. Again, back to the workbook. This is workbook membership 204. These are really helpful workbooks for you to follow to build different reports the way you need to. Head out to the website. You can purchase those at churchwindows.com. But like all of our webinars, this is getting recorded. I'll have it up on the website by the end of the day today. You can rewatch it or share it with anybody you think might find this information helpful. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Going to open up membership, and we're starting on page 2 in that specific workbook. And there's two different ways you can get to this reporting screen that we're going to talk about. Right here in the middle, you can click on reports with the little printer icon, and that's going to take you right to the step 1 screen, which is just what we're going to be talking about today, how to manipulate this screen. Now, you can also come up to the top and go under reports and export. And then under reports and labels, you can go to reports directory export, or you can go to labels, okay? Now if you go to labels, this step 1 screen is going to be exactly the same as if you were to go in through here through reports directory export, okay? So step 1 is going to apply to whether you're doing labels or whether you're building a report, okay? Again, today we're just talking about step 1. So let's first, what I want to do here is I want to go through each aspect or each section of this screen and really explain to you how you can manipulate it to fill the need of your church or your organization for what you need to pull out of the software. Everyone has the ability to use church windows in their own unique way. So some fields that I'm going to show you, you might not have in your data, or some of the fields that you track or choose to utilize in church windows, I might not have in this sample data that I'm showing you. But the overall field that I want to go through with this webinar is to show you how to manipulate each of these sections so you can then utilize that within the data that you have within your church windows. Okay? So first tab we are going to talk about is the Query Builder tab. If you look across the top here, you do have 3 tabs. We'll talk about each one, but we're going to start with Query Builder. So Query Builder is where you're going to put in that criteria or who you want to see on your report. What people do you need to appear? Okay. On the Query Builder tab, you have 3 options. You have this first option, number 1, which is the Edit People Selection Criteria. I'll show you that in a second. You have Step 2, which is an and/or field that allows you to then incorporate Step 3, which is going to be to pull in any giving or pledging criteria you might need to also have part of your query from the Donations module. If you don't use the Donations module, or you want a report that strictly only pertains to membership, you don't do anything with Step 2 or Step 3. All right, let me reiterate that again. If you're building a report that only has to do with membership, you don't need to do anything in Step 2 or Step 3 here on this Query Builder tab. Okay? Only change things down there if you need to pull in information from donations. So let's here go into Edit People Selection Criteria. So this is where you are going to implement that membership criteria that you want to pull in for who is going to be shown on your report. If we hit the down arrow here where it says Select a Membership Field, you are going to have a lot of options to pick from. All right. Attendance, groups, classes, skills, interests, visits. And then as you scroll further down the list, you're going to have address options along with city, state, zip code. And the further you scroll, it's going to be in alphabetical order. You're also going to see all of those individualized, customized fields that you have. So all of those fields, when you go into people, and you look at all the different information that you fill out for people, like their status code, their birthday, their family relation, directory report order, anything that you track for those people, you're going to have the ability to pick it from this Select a Membership field. Okay, so we're going to go along with the example in the book. They are using status code. So they only want people of a particular status code on a report. You can also type the field that you're looking for up here. This is a little search box to quickly jump you down to the field that you want. Soon as I select status code, it's going to allow me to select those fields that make up status code. So I just simply check who I want to have included on the report. You also have a not box. So say I want everybody but children. You could check not and then choose child, and that would exclude anyone with that child status code. All right. Also a show inactive checkbox. If you have any status codes that you've gone through and cleaned up a little bit and made inactive over the years, if you wish to see those, you could check show inactive as well. But just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and check those 3 status codes that I want to see. Once they're checked, I'm going to hit Add to Selection. And the criteria automatically pops down here on the left side, and that's how I know that criteria has been implemented. That's what it's going to look at. Only people that have a status code of one of the following: active, associate, and what was the other one? Non-member spouse. Okay? Now, over here to the right, you have options for giver number. Say you only want people with a giver number, or you only want people who have a giver number in a particular range. You can then use this giver number field to then make up part of this criteria as well. It's going to build on each other. Okay. Categories. Member, visitor, 2 basic categories. Maybe you have some other categories in here as well, but you can check to exclude or include particular categories to help you pull the people that you need. Down here at the bottom, you can check to include inactive people. Say you want to run a report on everybody that passed away in 2020. You would need to then check that inactive box, because by default, inactive people are left off of your report. You also have the option to include membership groups. These are going to be those different groups and classes that you've set up. If you want to see those names listed on the report of the particular groups and classes, you can check that. Donations individuals, donations group givers, that's going to be people or groups that you specifically created over in the donations module. You added them over in donations. If you wish to pull those people in, you can check those two boxes as well. Okay. Now, continuing on at the book, bottom of page 4, you have an and or option here. I want to just explain the and or in the parentheses here just for a minute. You have the option to add more criteria to this with either using an and or an or. So let me show you an example. I'm going to do and I'm going to come up here. I'm going to put age. And I'm going to do between 1845. Okay, add to selection. So if I leave this criteria the way it is because I have an and, that means anyone who is going to be on my report has to meet what's above the and below the and. Okay, so because I'm using and, they have to have a status code of one of the following, and they have to have an age between 18 and 45. Okay. Difference between and or. If I am to get rid, let's add an or down here, and then let's dump and. Then I'm going to put it here. So now I'm saying I want anyone with a status code of one of the following or has an age between 18 and 45. That means they have to meet one or the other pieces of criteria. All right, that's the biggest difference between and or. And means they have to meet both pieces of criteria, or means they have to meet one of them. All right, so depending on how you build your criteria, you might need to use an or. Really think through that. All right, let me get rid of these. We're just going to stick with status code. All right, once you get this edit people selection set up the way you want, you're going to say OK. And up here in the top right, it's going to reiterate my criteria that I'm using. All right. You do have a little option here for use giver number current as of. Typically, you don't need to change this unless you are running a report that comes in at, like, say you're running it in December and you want to see who has those new giver numbers as of the first of the year. Then you would change that to the first of the next year. But typically, just for regular old reports like this, you don't need to change anything with that box. Leave it as is. And now let's talk about step 2 and step 3. If you utilize the donations module, you do have the option to come in here and add some donations criteria along with the membership criteria you're using to build a report. So in the book, let's see, page 7, they use some really helpful criteria here for how they want to pull people. So basically, they want to pull people who didn't give in a particular year, but did give in a different year. So this would be a great way you could see that. So who gave in 18, but who stopped giving in 19? So according to the book, you would choose only those who did not give. We would adjust our date range. The book's going back to 2019, so we'll stick with that for example's sake. And then as pledging, we're going to leave at all. We're not worried about if they pledged or not for this example. And then we're going to say add. Okay. Then we're going to put an and then we're going to add another piece of criteria here. And this is going to be for 2018. You have these little minus years button that quickly jump you back, which is nice. And then for here, we're going to choose only those who gave, and then all regardless of pledging. So this is a really nice way for you to look at just those people back up here at the top who have a status code of one of the following, who did not give in 19 but did give in 18. All right, really a lot of options in here. You can't break anything in here. So if you guys are trying to get some good information out for committees, get some good reports out, you can really come in here and play around with that different criteria. Okay. And you also have an and or here as well. So if you keep wanting to build this criteria and customize it the way you want, you can change number 2 to an and or an or. So they have to either meet this criteria or this criteria if you switch it from an and to an or. Okay? Now let's go over to the Accounts tab here. Again, this is if you're using donations. If you don't use donations, this doesn't apply to you. But the Accounts tab allows you to tell the software you only want it to look at particular accounts when it goes to build this criteria. All right, so you can say, these are our 2 most popular accounts. I just want these 2 to be part of my criteria. All right, that's a good option for you. Or you can move everything over and then just move 2 accounts back to the left. Say you want to look at everything but general and building. Move everything over to the right. You can just do a simple quick highlight and then just dump these 2 back over to the left, and then those 2 are going to be excluded from the criteria. All right, pretty straightforward. You can also, up at the top, if you wish to look at a specific campaign. Say you have pledges entered in donations, you create campaigns each year. If you only want the software to look at people of a particular campaign, you can simply choose that campaign and it'll only focus on that campaign itself instead of particular giving accounts. Right? Last thing up here is the Sort tab. This is the order that your people are going to print out in when you generate the report. So the Sort tab is very important. I feel like when I talk to people a lot, this gets skipped. So this is the driving force of how people are going to show up, what order they're going to show up on your report. Sort field 1, you have a lot of options. Again, a lot of people are going to go with just a simple last name, first name, alphabetical sort. Especially if they're doing a directory, they want that alphabetical order. But you do have options to go even further. You can do subsorts. So if we scroll down and go to zip code, this is a popular one, do zip code current as of today, and then the subsort of that, we want it to be alphabetical. So first sort, it's going to take everybody and sort them by their zip code. Then within people that have the same zip code, it's going to go in and then sort them alphabetical. All right, so you can really play with this. You also have the option to do ascending or descending. A great tip for this is if you're doing a birthday or an anniversary report, for example, once you get into the date fields, you can go down and sort them even more. So sort field 1, if we choose birthday, this lower section becomes active, and it allows us to really specify when we say sort by birthday, how do we want the dates to be sorted by? So you have the option to do year, month, day, just strictly chronological order. You can do month, day, then year, or you can just do month, day only, and the year won't affect the sort. So for example, you can just have, if you do a birthday list for June, you're not worried about the year, you just want to know everybody that's got a June birthday, you could then do this last option here, month, day only, and then that way you're going to be able to just have strictly June 1st to June 30th, 31st, I don't know how many days are in June, strictly just by day. So then you can get in order whose birthday when you print out the report. So that's really nice for the date fields itself. All right, last thing, bottom of, let's see, page 9. I want to talk about this saved selections down here at the bottom. This is a lifesaver if you have reports that you are going to run regularly. All right. Down here at the bottom, saved selections. All you have to do is hit this little floppy disk icon, and you're going to name this criteria. So everything we put in on Query Builder, Accounts, and the Sort tab, we're going to save it. So the next time we come in here, all we have to do is hit the down arrow, pick this report, and boom, all of the criteria that we just spent the last 10 minutes putting in, it's going to automatically pop it back up. Okay, so for example, let's do, the book calls it members giving 18, no giving 19. And we're going to say okay. So now, the next time we come in here, if we hit the down arrow, all we have to do is select this, and it's going to fill all of this in for us. Okay, so pretty handy tool. If it's something you run regularly, I would recommend saving it. It's going to save you several clicks. All you really do, come in here, reports, down arrow, pick it, boom, everything's in here. All right, so make sure you hit the floppy disk first, add the name, then save it. And that's how you get those save selections to stick. All right, folks, that is everything that I wanted to go over with you today.